Hi. All right. I am always really nervous about going live. Actually, okay, hold on, I'm hearing myself. So tell me if you're hearing a reverb, because I'm hearing it a little bit on my end. Let me see here. All right. Okay, so I'm just checking because I think it may be a little bit delayed. Okay. Um, I'm going to take off my headphones, I think. But give me 1 second. Hi, everybody. I just wish it wasn't doing this. Okay, let's see. Thank you for bearing with me here. All right, let's see. I think I got it. Okay. Uh, all right. Just make sure I've got this all set up. So normally my husband helps me. All right. Well, for some reason it's echoing in my ear, but if you can hear it, then that's good. So, like I was saying, I get really nervous doing the live stream. I actually get nervous recording. Okay, thanks for that. Audio is good. Okay. So, oh my gosh, but it's so distracting, you guys. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. My husband is working in the garage right now, so I can't flag him down. Let me see here. Okay, wait a second. I figured it out. Okay, you didn't want to know what it was. I had two windows open. I literally was hearing myself talk. Okay, that's so embarrassing. All right, so I have a question for you guys before we start because there's this debate that I've been having with some friends about putting up Christmas decorations, and I'm kidding you not. Like half of my neighborhood has Christmas decorations up, and I don't know how I feel about it. I always grew up like you put them up after Thanksgiving or maybe like for Thanksgiving if you're having people over. Um, Let me know if you guys put up Christmas decorations in the chat. I'm like super curious if you guys do that. Also, I thought this might be fun to do some fun facts or answer some questions. But fun fact about me, a thing that I'm stressed about right now, I love your input. So I'm turning 40 in March. And when I was a kid, I remember that 40, I think it was the Over the Hill birthday. I think it was. Let me know if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think it was when they had like the gravestones coming out and it was like supposed to be like really depressing. And it's shocking to me that like I am now at that point because I don't feel old at all until I volunteer at my church youth group, until I'm around kids who are like 13 or 14. And then I'm like, oh, these are like babies. I'm like 100 now. So I'm curious if you have turned 40 already, did you do something special? Or like, what's a good suggestion? Um, I don't know. It just feels like a big one. I feel like 40 and 50 are really big. It's like maybe like 16, 21, and then like 40, right? So, yeah, someone's saying I'm 44. I still feel young. I do too, which scares me. Actually, that scares me because I feel like I know people aren't seeing you as young, but you still feel it. I try to ask my kids, like, make sure you tell me if I'm doing something weird because I need you to tell me. Some of you guys, I feel old when I exercise. Eli, I feel the same way. I just started doing some new exercises to stave off, I don't know, whatever is coming. I started doing like heavy squats, and I really do feel old when I do that. Um, but it's weird because I guess you don't ever really feel old. Is what is interesting to me. And another thing though that makes me realize that I am older than I feel is that seeing people driving around. Guys, I am not joking. I see children driving cars. Like I feel like I see toddlers driving cars. There are babies driving cars right now. I'm like, is this what a 16-year-old looks like? Um, It's crazy. Yes, but I actually really like being this age. I would not go back. I mean, sometimes my girls will ask me. My oldest is almost 12, and she's like, "Do you wish that you could go back and be a teenager again?" No, no, no. Actually, I didn't want to be one when I was one, right? Um, but it's just interesting. I'm thinking about it because the holidays are already here, and I don't really know where the year went. I read some really controversial thing. When I say controversial, I mean it's like crazy person controversial. But I was just in this rabbit hole, and some guy has a big following, and he's claiming that time is speeding up. That's what his claim is. Time is speeding up, and that's why you're just suddenly shocked by, it's the end of the year. Where did the time go? It didn't used to feel like this. And so I don't know. I've been thinking about that. Um, Someone was asking, do I still work for NYT News Corp? No, NYTN is just because I was born in New York and now I'm in Tennessee, TN. But it's funny because I think maybe I'm getting a little stolen valor because it's so close to like New York Times. I don't know if that counts as stolen valor at this point. Um, Gesundheit, emotionally, I'm still 13. I feel like that sometimes. Again, especially talking with kids where I'm like, they're telling me stuff. I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. And I'm like the 40-year-old adult. It's amazing. But one thing that I have noticed, especially watching my Grammy, my mom's mom, she had such a young spirit, like to the point where she was breaking rules that she really shouldn't have been breaking. But she was always laughing and having fun. And I think that just she never seemed old to me. She never seemed old. And so I think a lot of it has to do with how we want to interact with the world. Let's see. Why is the scholar said, I'm going to college now and my goal is to major in journalism. So that was actually my goal too when I went to college, like in the year like 200 BC. But I wanted to be a journalist. And I was kind of disenchanted with it at the time. I remember writing for the school paper and things. And I think it was because I didn't, it's like if your editor has a different vision, then you're kind of trapped. And so I feel like I would encourage you, honestly, I don't know what kind of journalism, it's video journalism or writing articles, to start a YouTube channel because you can explore topics on your own and you may still have YouTube shut you down. But you can do that kind of without an editor. And if YouTube had been around like this, like if I had known, I think I probably would have dropped out of school because I don't think that degree did a whole bunch for me. But that's really cool. Let's see. Oh, my thumbnail is adorable. Thank you, Helicopter Gunship. So that is me when I was like 6, and YouTube was asking for a video for a thumbnail. And then it said I could take a picture of myself right now, and it didn't give me any warning and just snapped the most insane picture I've seen. So I was like quickly trying to find a picture to put up as the thumbnail so I didn't horribly embarrass myself. And if you guys have I had a Q&A thing, I think. If you have a question, toss it up. I'm going to just scroll up to see what you guys. So some people are putting Christmas decorations up right now. I almost feel like it could be time because it was so cold here in Nashville the other day. But today it was so nice. It's like 75. And that just takes me totally out. I'm like, I don't feel it. I'm not totally ready. So Oh, thank you. My degree did justice because I know how to teach. So let me tell you another thing was, so I ended up switching schools because my first college I went to, I went to a Christian private school in Pennsylvania, and I really struggled there. One was because I didn't understand that it was Amish country. It's like literally Mennonites everywhere, which were so interesting, but it was like a cultural shock. And I was coming from New York and I was not prepared for it. And I ended up deciding I want to major in Russian and Soviet history and American history, and they didn't have that there. So the second year I transferred out and I went to the State University in New York in Albany, SUNY Albany, which is not like a fancy school, but they had the major I wanted. So I majored in Russian language, which is crazy. And then I went and got my undergrad, or my master's in education here in Nashville. But college is not the same thing anymore. I don't know how heartily I can recommend it to just everyone, right? Have I ever looked into the Jackson Whites? I have no idea what that is. The Jackson Whites. Yes, the college is in Lancaster, kind of Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. And it was cool. But also, they didn't let me have a car there because I was a freshman. And I think that really made it difficult. It's hard to just be like dropped somewhere new and I couldn't drive around. I think if I had had a car, I would have been a little bit happier. Let's see. Okay, Jackson Whites. I'm writing that down because I don't know what that is. I was going to ask you guys if you had some video suggestions for me. But I have like a long list of topics that I'm kind of researching. I usually research like 10 things at once. I just have Google Docs for each one. So I'd love to hear about ideas that you guys have. I'm going to do a video on the Mark of Cain because I feel like that's so similar to the Curse of Ham. It's kind of like another one of those things that get tossed into there. And it's just like a thing you've heard about, but I hadn't ever really researched it. So I want to research that. See, Tom O'Brien, anthropology communication major here. Let me tell you, I don't understand the communication majors. So I remember I had to take one college class. It was this communications class. It was like communications 101. And I had to give a speech and it was so scary to me. I don't know what it was. I was so nervous. I just didn't do well. So I don't know if that's what communication really is. But that was the class that I had. It was very traumatic. Let's see. Do you think it's dramatic or weird to not want to celebrate Thanksgiving anymore? Old hag 1996. First of all, if you were born in 1996 and you're calling yourself an old hag, that's crazy. It means you're like 29 or 30. But that aside, if you mean as far as like the historical stuff around it, I don't think so. Like I think there's a lot of like everything in history has, you could say, like has there's like a good part and a bad part, right? But you can decide how you do that. It's like for me, at least in our house, Thanksgiving has always been, I make homemade cinnamon rolls in the morning and we watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade and we make like 6 times the amount of stuffing. Like the ratio of turkey to stuffing is outrageous. Like so much more stuffing than turkey is happening. And I love that. And so, I think you kind of do what you want to do with it. Something interesting I found out, I was talking to someone who lives in Canada this week, and I didn't know they had Thanksgiving. I was like trying to work my mind around it. I think it's October 13th or 14th. And I was like, but how? What does that mean? So I meant to research that and see what that is. Let's see, Tom O'Brien was saying that he studied abroad for a year and the pre-PhD didn't qualify. Okay, traumatized by the classes. I tried to study abroad 3 times. And so I went to college in 2000, like 3, 4, 5, 6, around. That was like, I graduated in like 3 years. And during that time, I tried to study abroad in Cairo, Egypt, and it got shut down. I tried to study abroad in Moscow, Russia, and that got shut down like while I was applying. And then I tried to study abroad in England, but it was like, I like romanticized where it was. It was called Hull, England. And I remember I got in and it wasn't shut down. But then I did some research and I realized it was like a really kind of sad, gray, industrial, like Dickinson, I think, style city that I think was not what I imagined. So I didn't end up doing it. But I always wanted to study abroad. Let's see. Question from, have you considered doing a video that compares what the U.S. government did in the early 1920s to restrict immigration, what's being done now? So actually, I have done probably 8 videos on that. They're in a playlist called Becoming American. I think I did them 2 summers ago, and kind of going through the different groups of people who were trying to become American. But at the time, that meant you had to prove that you were a free white man of good character. And so there was a lot of discussion in the courts about, well, what is white? Because the founding fathers, when the Naturalization Act in 1790 was put together to kind of figure out how do you become an American now that we're a new nation, how do you become an American? That's what they came up with, a free white man of good character, but white wasn't explained, right? And so they may have seen it as self uh, referential, you're Anglo-Saxon, that means you're white. But when the 1900s, 1920s, people were trying to immigrate and argue that they were white. There was a famous court case I did a video on. I think there's a Japanese man, I think his name was Ozawa. And Justice Sutherland said that he was white, but he wasn't Caucasian, because the Japanese guy is like, listen, I'm as American as anybody here. I love America, and look how white I am. I'm super white. And he was like, he literally in court was like, my skin's as white as the guys here in the jury, or whiter. And the judge said, yeah, but you're not Caucasian, even though that's not in the thing. And so there was all of these interesting strange and terrible, mental gymnastics happening. But yeah, if you go to that playlist, there's tons of them. Have I researched let's see, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Let's see, turkey and stuffing is the bomb. Oh, stuffing's so good. And I want it so crisp. I want it so crisp. What tribe was your original African ancestors from? Helicopter gun trip. I think it was Yoruba was what I got. That was the one that was the easiest to trace. And I had a professional man who worked at, there was a university he worked at, but he was working on all of the genetic stuff, like very deeply 10 years ago. And he had people with certain backgrounds. He wanted them to submit their DNA. So he saw my DNA, my raw data. He accepted me into the thing. And so he was able to dig in pretty deep. And he said that side of the family, he said, was Yoruba, which matches a lot of the historical story, of who was getting brought over to Louisiana. So let's see here. Claiborne Merritt, nice to see you. Have you researched the Black Choctaw of Louisiana? I do not know that tribe. I do have connection to the Choctaw Apache tribe there, but I could enroll, but and I'm friendly with cousins there and things. I just have chosen not to do it for just different reasons. But I like knowing that the connection's there, but I haven't enrolled. Let me scroll up. Sorry, guys. Last time I did this, I was with my husband, so he was watching this part. Let's see. Gio said, I think maybe putting out a video on how Spain controlled most of the West would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'm writing down your ideas. Thank you, Tom. Okay. Do you prefer making videos about the U.S. racial history or race across distant history in the world? And that was, I think, Logan Doss. I love studying the American identity. And I think just because I consider myself just such a regular, American girl with kind of a boring story my whole life. And, then I started researching my family, and it was so complicated and messy and strange. And I wanted to understand why. And I was like, well, I'm a historian. I can understand the context and the history. And so that's just the most appealing to me. And I think especially because it has helped me, I think, to love my neighbors better. And, I wish that we could just love each other just out of the goodness of our hearts. But I think a lot of times seeing similarities in ourselves and other people helps to bridge that gap in a little bit. And so I think I love studying the American identity and the story that it tells, that for different reasons, we just don't know the story, right? Even their own story. Yoruba or current day Nigerians. Yes, that makes sense. It was because it was a high level of Nigerian, and that was, I guess, the thing that matched. The judges for the beauty contest. Yeah, if you saw the beauty contest video, it was such a sensitive topic for me for so long. But somebody had commented something on that video about, the way you win beauty contests it's not necessarily how you look, but it's your confidence. And I did not have any when I was that age. And I still getting on camera is the worst. It's the worst, but I realized it's the best way to connect with each other. And so I do like to do that. Let's see. Do I have any Jewish ancestry from RJ McKenzie? So I don't have any that would show up on DNA, but I did have something a very trace thing show up when this guy was analyzing my DNA, and it was a special kind of Jewish ancestry, and I'm probably getting it wrong. I think it's Sephardic, and it was because of my Mexican ancestry. So it was like it was connected to the Spanish side, which I mean historically that makes sense, but it was like almost nothing. But it was like a little tiny like blip that showed up. So I'd say I don't have Jewish ancestry, but I think a lot of Hispanics with Mexican ancestry probably have some of that showing up. But I don't know a ton about that. Let me just get a sip here. Does my husband have a drop of African ancestry? Yeah, he has more African than I have because of his Puerto Rican side. Let's see. L. Spelker, finding my Creole history has changed my life. I feel the same way. I feel the same way, and I think finding out any big chunk of your family story is going to change your life. Maybe not always for the better. You know, if it's traumatic to find out like who you thought you were is not who you were, all of that. But I find it very healing to at least know what I came from. And it's really weird because there's stuff that is definitely like nurture, like you'd have to pick it up from someone, but there's also stuff that's just nature. It's so crazy. And when I went to go see family in Louisiana, there were certain cousins in particular that I saw, and I was like, the mannerisms, there was like a certain face and mannerism, and I recognized it. It was so familiar. And like, I never met these people before, but it was just there. And it was really cool. It was super cool. All right, let me just try to catch up. I wondered, Logan said, a question from a recent video you made. Who do you hate? Wait, who do you the most hate hear from? Oh, who do I hear the most hate? Blacks who classify you as white, whites who classify you as black. I don't know who hates me more. I don't know. I will say, that I don't know if it's so much drawn along that color line as much as just people who are seeing something that doesn't jive with what they're used to seeing. So like if you're in Louisiana, for instance, like when I was down there, like people just knew that I had Creole ancestry. It's like they just knew. I'd chat with people at like the store and it just stuff comes up. Okay. And I think that's because in that area, it's like, well, there's a high level of just this multi-generational mixing. Well, if you have people who come from an area where that's not like a thing, then they're going to be frustrated that you don't fit in that box for sure, right? I will say what has been super shocking to me doing this for 3 years on YouTube, and I've done it through summer and winter because right now it's like winter, it's November, so haven't been in the sun in months. But so doing it through all this, no matter what, people who self-identify as black, I would say like 99% of the time are like, tell me like, you look like one of my cousins, you look like so-and-so. And so I always thought that was kind of interesting because I didn't grow up seeing that myself, but I don't know how it works. Let's see. Clay Stevenson, growing up, did people think you were racially ambiguous? Yes, but I thought they were really messed up for that. So I wrote a book, but I haven't been able to get a publisher to take it yet. Okay, so it's totally done. I've had some people interested in it, agents, but it just hasn't, for reasons maybe we can get into later. But I remember, especially as a kid who was outside all the time and my hair was not relaxed like this, I would get asked if I was mulatto a lot, and I didn't know what it meant. And I wrote about that a little bit in a book. And then in college, I started straightening my hair, and people assumed I was half Japanese. I always thought, how weird. But then I also didn't know. I was like, maybe I am. I don't know, because I hadn't done anything. Let's see here. Let me scroll down a little bit. Have you been learning Italian, Louisiana Creole? So Creole, I am actually working on because I'm doing a video on the erasure of that language in Louisiana. I was hoping to get it out a couple weeks ago, but it's a little bit more work to put together, and I'm trying to include people's videos. And so actually, if you have experience with family who spoke Creole or lost it, and you want to send me a video, that'd be awesome. You can message me at Patreon. You don't have to pay to be on there. You can just sign up and send me a message. We can talk. Tom Rogers. Hi, Tom. Hi, Danielle. He said, I love the way you enter the space. We are all related as humans and should move that way. 100%. And I think that's the thing. Like, I love finding out whatever my family history is. I hope you'll figure out yours, and maybe they cross somewhere, maybe they don't. But man, I just feel like there's so much negativity in the world right now. And I just, sometimes I just don't even understand why. I don't know. Cause I just don't feel like that. And I think you don't feel like that either. And we're told that, everyone hates you and we all hate each other. And I'm like, I don't actually think we do. Maybe I just have great people on my channel. Julius Caesar. I wouldn't guess you had African American ancestry. You look Hispanic. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it. It's not like a ton. I think every test has been totally different. So it's kind of hard for me to give a number, but it's always been between like 7 and 20%. And that's including the whole continent of Africa, which has tons of countries in it, right? So that includes Egypt and Morocco and stuff. I definitely have people speak to me in Spanish now, and I don't know what they're saying. And so that's embarrassing too. Even though I took Spanish, it's like, I don't know, like it's in here, but it's not. It's not on my tongue. Let's see here. Norma Tranquil hi Daniel. Daniel, my husband Daniel, is on here, and normally he sits next to me, but he's keeping our kids quiet right now. So, all right, let me scroll up and see. Julius Caesar had two. Let's see. Oh, Norma. Okay, sorry. Did you ever get an explanation for the raisins and potato salad dig that you weren't familiar with? Yes. Apparently, it's to let you know that like you're really white. Like I guess that's a really white thing, and it's from SNL. I had stopped watching SNL a while ago because it stopped being funny to me. Like it was when I was a kid. I think it's getting back a little bit, but wasn't this funny? Hi, Marcus. Thank you. He said, I love your videos. Can I request you do a video on, I'm going to butcher this, Hallawasaponi tribe of Hollister, North Carolina. My mother's side of the family is from there, and I've been dying to get a more detailed history of my tribe. I have never heard of this. I'm writing it down right this second. And I would love to look. I'm going to ask you on here if you are familiar with the brass ankles, because I did a video on the brass ankles, and I think it's the same area. And this like a triracial group that was significant Native American, African American heritage, but they kind of went off by themselves. And thank you so much for everybody sending these chats. I'm going to catch up here. Julius Caesar also asked, were you raised white? No, my dad raised me as Italian. And it literally didn't matter what my mom was. He was just like, you're Italian and everybody wants to be Italian, yeah, I felt really proud of that. Strangely, though, we never learned Italian, even though my grandpa spoke it. And then my daddy took a DNA test, and he had, I think he's Italian. Okay, he's Italian. All his grandparents are from southern Italy, but he had 30% Egyptian and some Iranian and stuff. So, that story. Dead Sea Life. Which one of us do you hate the most? You guys are so bad. That's so horrible. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. Carol Woodward. Hi, Carol. It's so nice to see you. My ancestry results from a year ago keep making me whiter. Would love some color. Well, I have found out after doing a video on the Irish that they aren't always seen as white. So it's like it just means nothing, right? It's all funny. Let me jump down a little bit. Danielle, are there any Melungeons today? And is that a slur? It's not a slur. I think it used to be a slur. Actually, I don't know if I'm still going to do this, but there's a huge group of people that are doing Melungeon heritage work. And you can look at the Melungeon Heritage Association. I think Heather Andolina is the president. She's amazing. I went on their podcast, and what's really interesting about the Melungeons is they are so connected to the Red Bones, that Red Bone group, which is also one of the things which like it's a slur. It has like another meaning. There's multiple meanings, but the historic group of people are connected to the Melungeons, and it's so interesting. You would never think. And I don't know, American history is so interesting. I wish that this was the stuff that was touched on, at least in school, a little bit. It doesn't have to be all. We could still do some World War II, but not all World War II, right? Do some of this. Let's see here. Let me scroll a little bit. As a first-generation Californian, Alicia said, Dad's from LA and Mom was from Texas. It's definitely my experience of not being black enough because I was the only one of my siblings with straight hair. It's so interesting. The hair thing is such a thing, right? I did videos on this. And I had my hair relaxed like for 20 years, and then I stopped relaxing it. And then I ended up getting a different thing done instead of relaxing it, but it's like a more natural way to keep it straight, but I'm going to grow it out again. But the hair thing is it's crazy how different people see you if your hair is straight or not. I feel like I'm a different person. I actually, right before COVID, I had my hair blonde for the first time in my life. So it was straight and blonde. And I would look in the mirror and I just really didn't feel like I was not even the same person. I was like, people did not treat me like I could feel that I was getting a different treatment. Like, I'm not trying to like make a thing out of it, but blonde me was a different person than this me. I don't know. It was weird. My kids did not like it. They hated it. They were very upset. They asked me never do that again. So I won't do that again. I don't know if I would ever share a picture of it because honestly, it's so jarring. All right, let me scroll down. Is my husband a historian as well? He is now because he has to listen to this nonstop. But he's a much more like math marketing guy. So he's everything I'm lacking in, like he has it very strongly. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little bit. Okay, Logan Das, is your Irish ancestry Celtic? It's Celtic, right? I get confused because of the Boston Celtics. And so, I'll say Celtic and people are like, it's Celtic. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I grew up in New York and you hear about the Boston Celtics. Is your Irish ancestry more Celtic or Celtic or from other waves of immigrants to Ireland? I don't know. Somebody could probably help me out on here. I probably know it somewhere in my brain, but my Irish family, they were Catholic. They weren't Protestant. They were Catholic. And I want to say that they were from Northern Ireland, but I don't know for sure. I always wanted to go. I actually thought about trying to get the, what's it called? When you're like, I can't even think, not just a passport, but like, I can't think. I don't know. I'm having like a brain thing here. But I'm one generation too far away, too far removed to citizenship. That's the word. There it is. I got it. What was my father's blood type? Are you from America? I am from America. I don't know what his blood type is, though. I don't know mine. I have no idea. Oh, thank you, Carol. All right, see, I think this is Elizabeth Urbach. I think it's Elizabeth, right? But she said, my Sicilian grandpa used to say, everybody from the Mediterranean is related to everybody else in the Mediterranean. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely, I think we're just so much more connected than we think, but that kind of goes against the narrative. Okay, let's see the other one. Sorry, I suddenly lost my thing. Nobody cares about Melungeons. Donald Trump black too. I don't know what the heck. I could not care any less about any of the politicians at this point. Not to get political, but like the most political I'm going to get is I'm done with politics. Probably forever. I'm done. I hate all of it. Pentazoid 111. Do you like history outside of American history? I do. I'm just not comfortable with it, except for Soviet history. The other part of my major was so it was Russian language, literature, and culture, and then I had like a extra thing I threw on that was Soviet history because I was just fascinated by it. I think I'm fascinated by how like the propaganda side fascinated me. I don't know. Russia was just interesting to me, but I don't really know much about global history. I'm so glad there are historians that do that because it is a weak spot for me. Norma also said, I have a history degree, but I've never used it professionally. I'm so curious about everything. I could never focus in just one area. Do you see yourself branching out at one point? That's how I feel. So I did teach for a while. I've taught kids from 1st grade to 8th grade in all different subjects. And so I felt like I was using my degree a little bit. But I feel like a history degree, it's just like an excuse to research. It sounds like you're probably a researcher. I would also say start a YouTube channel or start something like that. I would love to see more organic stuff happening. Now, first of all the AI slop I hate. So as nervous as I am to sit here and like be a person in front of you and there's no editing and no anything, no double takes, I find it so much more refreshing to just see a person and connect with a person. So I would say start a channel and just start exploring, and the people who are interested in what you're interested in will find you. It's the best feeling in the world. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Daniel, my husband talking about my hair. I try to convince her to leave it curly. She won't listen to me. It's so much work to have curly hair. Like, I'm telling you, as someone that has had both, And I've had long hair, I've had short hair, I've had all the things. When it's like this, I don't have to do anything. I can just be a person. And when you have curly hair, I don't know. Maybe the rich and famous can figure it out, but I can't figure it out. And my husband's also, he's just going to tell you everything now. Our bathroom's full of every curly maintenance product ever invented. It's so true. The amount of money I've spent on this stuff, it's insane. It's insane. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm getting behind. Rendell, is it Rendell? Rendell or Rendell? You are among the most charismatic YouTubers out there. Glad to see you getting your groove back. Thank you. I appreciate that because I feel so I'm just like awkward. Like the picture that I shared where I was in the middle of losing the pageant, or I had just lost the pageant, and I'm just like this. Like that level of awkwardness has never gone away, but I've realized as I've gotten older, like you might as well just smile about it and just keep going. Like smile in the awkwardness. It's like, oh, everybody else feels a little awkward too, I realized. I wish I had known that. There are a couple of just crazy people that never feel awkward. I don't know what is going on for them, but I was like, most of us feel awkward. Let's see. Let me jump down. Tom Rogers, thank you. He said, I discovered that in my ancestry, Tom Bryant, white, married a current or former slave, Molly Bryant, around in the late 1800s in South Carolina. I love your channel. I'm curious, Tom, if you found out the story behind it, because I think there's a thing that I believed, and it's mostly true, but it's not always true. And it's that the interracial relationships were not always coerced. And a lot of times I think there was coercion, or worse, for sure, But I have also seen relationships where that is not the case. And I feel like it's important to show those. So like I've shared, my great grandmother was considered a woman of color, and then she married my Irish great grandfather, and they did that, like, very dangerous to do that in the 1920s in Louisiana. It was against the law. It's miscegenation. And so, they ended up moving to New York, where he was from. But like, it's good to see those stories too, right? And to kind of acknowledge how complex history is, where it's like, maybe it's mostly bad, but there is good, and like we want to remember that part too. Let's see. Grow up. Romani Americans. That would be interesting. Something with the Romani came up, and I think it was related to the Melungeons. I'm writing that down. Chinimacha 1025. First of all, I love your username, because the Chinimacha are a tribe in Louisiana. They're a federally recognized tribe, and I descend from I think it's Marie Jeanne de la Grande Terre. I'm butchering it, of course, but she's like my 6th great grandmother, and I think she's the progenitor of a lot of the people in that tribe. Anyway, Chinimacha 1025 said the experience of race is so different in New Orleans, where I'm located. As a Black woman, I look at you and see a Black woman. Literally, some of my relatives. Yeah, it's funny because like you're telling me this in November, and I just had to switch my makeup over to my light makeup because I have summer makeup, and I have fall makeup, and I have winter makeup, because it's like the colors just can be so crazy. So it's just funny to hear that. Let's see. Sorry, I'm so bad at this. All right. What's my favorite book on American history? Pentazoid. What is a pentazoid? Like, that has to be a real. Is that real? I'm writing this down because I'm suddenly embarrassed that could be a shape I've never heard of. What's your favorite book on American history? I'm going to write this down. I'm going to think about it in the back of my head. I am in the middle of, I don't know how you guys read books. First of all, if you like can't read books anymore, I would highly suggest reading them. It takes a lot of effort when we're used to just quickly jumping from things on our phone. But if you could turn your phone off and hide it and lose it for a couple hours, I lose mine all the time. Try to start reading again, because I got back in the groove and it feels good. But I always read like 10 books at once. And I feel bad for Daniel, because like our room in our home, there's always just like books kind of just split open all over the place. Favorite book on American history? Man, how could I possibly pick? I will say this is Louisiana history, so it's kind of specific. But there are, let me think American history. I'm going to think about that, and I'm going to get back to you. Let me jump down to, someone said Olaplex is the best I found for my curly hair. I just bought it and it's amazing, but I have to wait for my hair to grow back in. Pentazoid 111. I like reading physical and listening to the audio version. So I try to do audiobooks. I'm not good with audio, I found out. I think my husband and I were talking about this because he can hear someone talk and he will remember everything they said. I don't. I like remember the gut feeling I heard, but I don't have the facts. And in college, I had to have all of the like colored highlighters and like, so if I'm reading and I'm like highlighting something blue, and then later on I'm remembering, okay, I know what that was because it was blue. I'm like much more visual. So it's hard for me to just listen to a book. But I'm amazed that people can do audiobooks because I feel like I have to see it. Um, Someone said let's see, wait, hold on a second. DJ Rap RD. No one's trying to claim this Italian woman with her white Puerto Rican boyfriend. Oh, he's not my boyfriend. We've been married for 16 years. We're old. Remember I said at the beginning of this, someone was 40. How fun to be young enough to have a boyfriend right now. Let's see, I'm losing a little bit here. I know as many Americans have Canadian ancestry. What would Canadian ancestry be? Is that like French, like Quebec? Is that maybe that's what you mean? I don't know. All right, I think I'm caught up. And someone wants to say, how old is Daniel? He just turned 39. So he likes to let people know that I robbed the cradle with him, which is not really true because we're both 39 right now. But I'm born March and he's born October. So I'll turn 40 in March and then he'll be 39 all the way through October. So technically I'm like a cougar, I guess. Let's see. Elizabeth Urbuck, sorry for the repeat question. Oh, if you said it and I missed it, I'm sorry. Do you still plan to research family history mysteries that some of your audience sent you? I bet there's some great stories there. Yes, I actually had a bunch of them ready to go, and then they were edited and they were filmed and edited and beautiful, and I'm ready to put them out. And I let the people know, and they wrote back to me, and they're like, "Oh, don't do that. I don't want it public," even though it was only the information they said. Like I didn't. Anything they said to keep private, I did. And so now I'm like kind of afraid to keep doing that and then not be able to put it out. So I need to go back and look at those. But yeah, can you believe that? I was like, you sent it to me. Let's see. Oh, hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Sarah in the chat has been hanging with me for so long. She's amazing. So thank you for being with me. Tom Rogers said March what on the 28th? I'm the 13th. And sometimes it's Friday the 13th, which doesn't do anything but feels like it's special, I guess. And it's also my dad's birthday. And I always liked that as a kid. So I have my dad's birthday. Jump down. Hi, Rich Glam. Good to see you. So a video that I am going to do that I'm like kind of scared to record it, honestly. But so what I do at night is I'm on Library of Congress like all the time. And so I found this book that was written, and it was by a preacher who was part of Southern Baptist Convention, which you already know, like Southern Baptist Convention history is crazy. Like it's way crazier than I even realized. And this book is so insane. It's like a pamphlet, 70 pages. And I read through the whole thing. And I want to do a video on it, but it is one of the craziest things I've ever read in my life. And it came out in 1921, so it's not like so old, you know? It's like, this is newer than like a Christmas Carol, you know what I mean? So the Southern Baptist Convention, it's kind of like my own little mission right now, is to understand what the heck happened there. And this pastor had some insane claims about Black Americans. And I kid you not, I'll save part of this for the video. I kid you not, this pastor, who is not just a fringe freak writing in crazy things in his notebook, he actually sent this to Warren G. Harding, the president at the time, because he was so well connected. Said that like Black people were not actually humans, and they were actually part of the beasts, like animals that God created during creation. And he had it was like the craziest stuff I've ever read. And it was just wild to me. And so I wanted to go through it. And not because I think people are holding those beliefs necessarily right now, but as a Christian, I am fascinated and horrified equally that other people are saying that they are Christians and like putting out the most insane evil trash. Like it shocked me. It really shocked me. And so I wanted to go through that primary source. I'm kind of nervous too, though, because people get really mad about the primary sources. And I don't know. It's like the video I did last week where I was just reading the primary source. I'm like, here it is on the Library of Congress page. Whoops. And people get real mad about it. And I think it's because how do you dispute it? Like, it's there. I mean, it's there. There it is, you know? So that's a video I'm working on right now. All right, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Have I been introduced to, okay, crawfish, is it etouffee? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say language or Louisiana language stuff. I'm terrible. I can't even speak English, if you haven't noticed. Like, I'm a struggling English speaker. I haven't had that. I'm afraid of crawfish. I don't really have a reason why. If someone made it for me, I would try it. But I can't like take, part of it is, have you seen the cartoon The Little Mermaid from 1989 or something? It's when I was a kid, like the original one. And there's a scene where this French chef is like chasing the crab and like shows like other crabs just being like smashed with mallets. And I remember as a kid being like, what the heck? And so I've never had any. And I'm wondering now if I have some like childhood trauma from being 3 years old and watching The Little Mermaid. It like really damaged me to see that. I haven't had it, but I would try it. I definitely would try it. Let's see here. What are the earliest records time period that a person's history could be traced back to? This is from Breathor Recreated. I think honestly, I think it depends on where your family lived, because there are records. Let me just say, like if some groups are just really good at keeping records, I should say. Interestingly enough, for my family, some of the records I've been able to go back furthest with are when the side of the family went through the missions. So the Native Americans that went through the missions in what's now Texas and Louisiana, and even like a little bit lower in what's Mexico now, because the Spanish were keeping insane records. So I have crazy records because the Spanish were keeping them. And so I think it just kind of depends on the geographical area. I mean, I'm sure people go back really far. People are claiming to be connected to such and such a Viking. I don't know how they're figuring it out, but I guess you have to be able to read more than one language, which again, I can barely speak English. So let's see, is it Heloa Homa? My great grandfather looks like your grandpa's twin, Daniel. I would love to see a picture of that. Let's see, Fascism Watch. Based strictly on the available context, there's no explicit information from Danielle Romero or the NYTN channel detailing her media presence or political opinions regarding Palestine. Can we know? I'm against violence. I don't know. Like I'm totally against violence, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have done my absolute best to not watch this stuff, to not watch anything. I don't watch the news. We don't have a news channel that we watch. My husband can get in here and testify to that. I'm very disturbed by the way the world feels, and because I've been so disturbed by it, this may not work for you, but this is what I've done. I've actually gotten more involved in my community. I am way more involved in my community and volunteering with kids in my community and doing more, because I feel like I can't change any foreign policy, and nobody cares what I'm saying. The politicians are not working for you on either side. No one cares about you. Okay. But we can make changes in our communities and get involved. And so that's my perspective on it. I guess I don't like anything that's going on. I don't like any of the politicians, and I do my very best to not look at any news at this point. But I also turned my phone into a dumb phone, so that's probably part of it, because I couldn't handle all of it. So I don't know what the latest on anything is. I just know that if I look at it, I'm sure I'll be sad. Let me see. Let me scroll down a little bit. I guess they didn't like that answer. I don't know. I don't know what they want. Clay Stevenson, Danielle, I know you love coffee. Do you ever switch it up and drink hot cocoa? Clay, I literally just made homemade hot cocoa yesterday and it was actually good. I was afraid. I made it before and made a terrible mistake using granulated sugar. Do not do that. So we just got whole milk, got it hot on the stove. I felt so old school making it on the stove. It was crazy. I felt like I had made like a whole meal from scratch. That's how good I felt. And I just add some powdered sugar and some organic cocoa powder. And it was so good. So this is a coffee that I got hours ago, but I still haven't finished it. It's just regular coffee. Let's see. Why is Danielle's position or lack thereof important? It's not her area of focus on this channel. Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand where you're coming from. I think it would upset everybody because I think my position is just, I don't want violence. I don't want to see it. My husband can get on here and tell you, we watched, maybe it was Rocky or something. And like the amount of punching in the face, even the punching, like I was so upset I had to stop watching it. I just am like really sensitive to it. And so I know a boundary I have had to create for myself is to stay off the news. I just can't. I just can't handle it. It makes me sick. And like I said, I feel like the best thing to do is to not like stay off the news and be a hermit. Stay off the news and get involved in what I can get involved in, which is what I'm doing. So I guess I would throw this back at you, Fascism Watch. You know, what are you doing in your community? I hope a lot. And sounds like you are someone that cares about people. So hopefully you are, but I would just encourage everyone, like it's so easy to get discouraged by the news. And I promise if you get off the news, if you literally do not check the news for a week, nothing's going to happen to you. Because if something really crazy is happening, like you have to know someone in your life will let you know. That's what I found. And it doesn't really end up happening though. Like I feel less stressed and to kind of unplug from that. So I may plug back in at some point, but right now it's like, I'm not into it. Let's see. Let me go up. I lost a little bit here. Hi, Rocket Reindeer. It's good to see you too. Yeah, the dumb phone thing is an app that I downloaded for my iPhone. And so it's just called Dumb Phone. And I think it's like $10 a year. And so I literally just have like, you can set up however you want, but it's like a black screen and it will just be like messages, mail, like maps, calendar, whatever. And so you could get to apps if you wanted to scroll through, but visually it just kind of keeps you from getting that like that dopamine hit. You know, you see it and you're like, you want to press it. So I don't have the pretty buttons to press. Rendell, support you avoiding bad news. Yeah, I know. And listen, I'm glad that, again, other people are able to handle it and get in there and see all the horrible atrocities like happening to kids and all that stuff. I can't handle it. And I don't think it's going to help anybody. It's not going to help or hurt the cause of me seeing it or not. Like, again, I can't do anything. Like, I can get involved in my community. And I think that we forget how impactful that is. Like, it's so impactful. I would encourage that. Let's see. I'm going to jump down. I can't, my husband's on here. She can't even handle cartoon violence. Yeah, that's true. I don't really want to kind of get off track with all this stuff, but just saying like, it's okay to not know every single detail of what's going on in the news. Like I just do my thing. Let's see. I'm going to jump down to someone else. I'm so sorry. I've missed so much on here. But anyway, I think I was saying I wanted to do some videos on the Southern Baptist Convention, the Mark of Cain. I want to do lives more. I think it'd be super fun to set aside an hour to do this. So let me know what works for you guys. This was so last minute. I just suddenly realized I had time to do it, so I thought I would try to do it. And it's super fun. Let's see. Let me jump down. Please help. So what would you say the ultimate goal of your content is, please, Danielle? Well, when I started, I didn't have a goal. I was just trying to document stuff from my immediate family. Going to Louisiana, interviewing cousins down there, and just, you know, they couldn't all come. So I was recording it. My husband was recording it and just kind of understanding it. But like I said, once I kind of understood what happened to my family in Louisiana, I wanted to I was like, well, I'm a historian. Like, why? What was the context? What was going on? And just that exploration has just been public the whole time. And so that's been fun. I don't have an ultimate. I think they said, what was your ultimate goal. I would say that people would love each other better, I guess would be my ultimate goal. And like I said before, I mean, we can't make huge changes on the international stage. Like we just can't, you know, when people will say like, you know, you can make a big impact in the world. Yes, but not like that really, right? Only a few people can do that. But all of us can go out when we go outside today or go to the grocery store or take a walk or go to work or whatever we're doing. Be kind to the people around us. And I think if understanding our neighbors' background, their family story, why they're that way, why they're in this life circumstance, I think that can help us have more empathy. And I think that is kind of like what I care the most about. Yeah, so it's kind of, there wasn't a purpose, but at the same time, there's always a purpose of just trying to understand people I didn't understand better. And it has paid me back in dividends. I really feel like it has changed me for the best, and it's changed how I've raised my kids. So I'm super grateful for that. Let's see, I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. Brian said, it's at the community level that we need to build the alternative parallel economy that allows us to turn our back on the evil one that our masters have us trapped in. 100%, 100%. And I think part of the problem is that it's so easy to just not engage with people anymore. And I'm so guilty of this. You know, like my kids take swimming lessons. We're there, and there's other moms there, and sometimes like I realize we're just all on our phones, like no one's talking to each other, and there's not a lot of us there. So I've tried to make a concerted effort, the best that I can, to like put my phone in my bag and talk with the mom next to me or whatever, and just be a person more. I realize like I haven't been a person that much. And I think starting to show up like that is going to make huge changes. It really is. And it feels so good. It feels so good to do that. Let's see. I'm going to hi to Jane Atwell Robinson. So Fascism Watch, what I would normally do is I would say to put the user in timeout because they seem kind of grouchy. But I think it's important to have grouchy people stay with us. Hopefully you guys agree. So we'll let them stay, and hopefully they can get some of the stuff out of their system. Let's see, let me scroll up a little bit. If you guys aren't in the chat, you should get on so you can read the chat. Gio said, on a lighter note, living in Nashville, do you all like the country music scene? Well, I did, but it's dead. It's dead. I think what is country music now is not what it was. But Nashville, it's so sad. When we first moved here, my husband moved here before I did, because he actually moved when he was like 18. And but I moved here with him like 2008. We moved 2009, right at the beginning, I think, something around there. And Nashville was really small, and I remember my family was like, "Why are you going there?" I even had people in New York be like, "But what state is it in?" Like, Nashville just was not a thing. It was not a thing. And the downtown was so fun. Broadway is like the main thing people think of when they think of Nashville. And you used to be able to just park on Broadway and walk around and go listen to music and honky tonks. It was so awesome. And now we kind of avoid it like the plague. And it's like all bachelorette parties. Like there's, I don't know what they're called. Maybe you guys know, but it's like you sit in this cart and you like, people are like pedaling and they're also drunk and yelling. I don't know what it is. That's like all of Nashville now. So that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad when a city gets big, but then it's kind of lost. And a lot of things have closed that were, to me, quintessential Nashville. They're like gone. So that's always sad to me. Let's see here. Let me scroll up a little bit. I actually scrolled up a little too high on that one. Yeah, so Nashville, but the nice part about Nashville is, unlike New York, like today it's a beautiful day and it was cold and yesterday, but you can just get nice days every now and then, which I need. Like if it goes below 60, I'm so like shocked and depressed. Like I can't function. So I really should go even more south. Someone, Kit Kat said, I was wearing your hoodie during the last snow in a grocery store parking lot. A man cleared my window and his wife said my hoodie inspired her. Oh, that's the nicest thing I've ever heard. And if you aren't familiar with the hoodie, it says, it's really, I guess it's this. It's just be a good ancestor. And that makes me so happy. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you for saying that. How did I meet my husband from, let's see, I don't know how to say your name. Growaken Dream. It's hard when there's no spaces. He visited my school. He visited my English class when on my 18th birthday, actually, and he didn't end up coming to that school, but his brother did. His brother was younger, and I think what happened. He can correct me in the chat. Actually, this is back in the days of MySpace. Like I told you, I was old. This is MySpace, and I was a scene girl. Like I would go to the shows, and I had my hair straightened with the like real emo bangs and all of that stuff. I was so into that, and so we had some friends that were similar because he's into music too, because he's a musician. And I think he reached out to me on MySpace, and he was like, I'm friends with your other friends. And we started hanging out, but I didn't know it was the same guy who had visited an English class. And one day I realized it and I like screamed. I was so shocked. So we were friends for a long time. And then this is horrible. I worked with him. I was a barista at a coffee place called Seattle's Best, which was in Borders bookstores. This was Barnes and Noble's like enemy, like in Borders is closed now. But so I worked at the coffee shop there. He was a manager, I think he was some kind of manager, and they wanted to give him the promotion of manager anyway. And they had to fire me because we were dating. So the boss brought me into the office, and he accused me of like stealing syrup, sugar pumps in my coffee, which I only drank my coffee black, so it was a total lie. But I was like hysterically crying in the office, and he had me sign a document to say like I agree to be fired for misconduct. And I'm like I just signed it. I signed it. So then I told him what happened, and we realized it was because they wanted to promote him, and we were dating, so they had to get rid of me. I still think about that to this day. I was like, I didn't steal any syrup pumps. I stole none, and I lost my job. Let's see. I'm gonna jump up a little bit and see what I missed. Have I been to North Carolina? Well, Nashville for sure. I think Blowing Rock is in North Carolina. I think so. We went there. It was so beautiful. I loved it. Would you guys do any more traveling videos? That was pretty cool when you guys did. I want to. I was telling I would like to do that. I have ancestors. I have records from that. They're from Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is like my favorite place in the entire world. I love it out there. And so I was thinking it might be fun to go to the courthouse out there and do that. Let's see, let me get some more here. Someone's like, what color is Daniel? And his brother's, I think what color is his, I don't know. And his brother's eyes. His eyes are green. I don't know what he's going to say. He, for some reason, lies about his eyes. Yep, he lied. He said his eyes are brown. They're not. They're green. That's the craziest thing. And he was born in Buffalo. Someone's saying, come to Oklahoma. We have a bunch of tribal history. Let me tell you a thing about Oklahoma that's so crazy. And I have a video on this so you guys can find it. And then I'll probably wrap this up so you guys can go have a good, fun Saturday and not keep you here. But my family, my third grandmother was on the Dawes rolls. So if you don't know what the Dawes rolls are, it's basically the blood quantum rolls that the government had to prove if you were enough native blood to get land and be a part of that system. So my family was on it. And they were living in Indian country on the census, and there were census as Choctaw on this. So this is my third grandmother. And then I can't remember if it was like the something happened where like the state of Oklahoma, like it officially became a state or something like that, but stuff started to shift. So they got kicked off the Dawes roll. Then they sued to get back on, and there was the whole court case of all their proof of how they were Choctaw, how her dad was 7/8 Choctaw, he spoke it, all this stuff. But they ended up just being kicked off the Dawes roll. It was just super interesting. And they were in Oklahoma. And I can't remember where they were in Oklahoma, but I'd like to see it. Even though they were listed as Choctaw on the census, they lived in, there's Chickasaw country. I don't know why they were there, but that would be really fun to go do that. Oklahoma is further away than I thought, though, because we did the Route 66 trip a couple years ago. So we took 40 from Nashville, Oklahoma, all the way over to New Mexico. That's pretty far. It's like 10 hours away. But I would like to do that. So it was really crazy story. Let's see. scroll down. Danielle is a true Southern Italians and Black ancestry from R.J. Mackenzie. I mean, I hate saying black. I hate saying white. What does that mean, right? But they definitely have African ancestry. Like a lot of people when they take it, especially, and also a lot of Middle Eastern ancestry. I think that's pretty common. And I was kind of shocked when I saw my dad's test. And then my husband's like, well, just look at a map, and I look at Sicily and I look at like Southern Italy and you see how close it is to Africa. I mean, it's like a stone's throw away. And I think that like was really interesting to me because I think sometimes we just don't think about that. And it's like, oh yeah, they're right next door, of course. Let's see. Someone said there's a Barnes and Noble next to me in Medford. Sadly, it's the only one within a couple 100 miles, said Lydia. Yeah, we have a Barnes and Noble here that I go to constantly now. But I always have a little bit of a nasty feeling about it because I worked at Borders and I was like, Barnes and Noble seemed like it was the snotty one. I felt like we were more accessible. I don't know why. It's just so funny. So yeah, so maybe we'll go to Oklahoma though. That would be super fun. A Wright said, would you eat potato salad with raisins in it? If you know, you know. There's no way. Although I do like raisins, and I had raisins today, but they will always be eaten separately. Like I never want a raisin in a cookie. I don't want a raisin touching anything. Like I will just eat a raisin alone. That's it. I will never do anything else. Any history on the Florida Black Seminoles? That would be good too. I have a feeling, I'm going to write that down. I have a feeling that they're connected to a lot of the Louisiana history. Again, if you look at, Spain, Spain owned so much of this land, and these state borders did not exist this way. So that would be interesting. I'm gonna write that down because I think that'd be cool. Brennis the Menace, funny name. My parents had no idea they both had Melungeon ancestry in Nebraska, accidental endogamy. It's so crazy. I think I told this story before. So endogamy is like, it's these tight knit groups where like family is marrying family essentially, and, maybe more like cousins marrying cousins. But when I had Daniel take a DNA test and I took one. And as I was doing my work, I saw that part of my Mexican ancestry came from Guadalajara, and his family, part of his ancestry is from Guadalajara too. And his last name is Romero. I mean, mine is now too, but I had a lot of Romeros in my family tree from Guadalajara. And the feeling I felt when I realized we could be related. Now it would have been pretty distant, but still I was like, I need to know. I need to know this. So GEDmatch does this thing where you can upload stuff and you can see if you're related, and we weren't. But like, I was afraid. It was too late at that point. We already had kids, but I was like, I just need to know for me. I just need to know. Let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit. Mexicans eat raisins and tamales. That made me chuckle. That's so funny. A thing that we do here though at the home, because we mostly eat Mexican food, is I make like fresh pots of black beans constantly, and I always put carrots in them. And I love having carrots in my tacos, and I found out that that's a pretty Mexican thing too. I didn't know, but they're so good. So, I guess I could try the raisins in the tamale, but I don't know. Did I ever get a chance to go on the Not All Hood podcast before Malcolm Jamal Warner's tragic death? And that's from Wraith X7. So this story, I think I shared a little bit, and I'm still shaken up by it, like real bad. I was crying like nonstop. So I got emailed by the executive producer from the Not All Hood podcast. So Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable, he was like in a million other things too, right? But that's how he's best known. To me, he was best known from being the producer on the Magic School Bus. But they emailed me this summer, and they were like, they wanted to have me come talk about my family story. And they were like, we've been watching all your stuff for years. And I was like, what? And I called Daniel at work, and I was like, you will not believe this. Like, we're going to go see Malcolm Jamal Warner. So we got a hotel to go to Atlanta, and I had ordered a bunch of t-shirts to bring him. Cause he always on his podcast and stuff always wears kind of like inspirational t-shirts. So I had Be a Good Ancestor shirts for him and the rest of his team. And so then they reached out, and they were like, actually, we have to reschedule it. Is it okay if we reschedule for like the middle of August? I was like, sure, no problem. So we do that, and he dies. He goes on his vacation. I think he was in Costa Rica with his daughter, and he drowns. And like, so I didn't go on. Yeah. But it like has troubled me for months thinking about this. just so weird. And I was really disappointed I didn't get to go and speak with him and meet with him. He seemed like such a good soul, such a good guy, and I'm really bummed. I'm really bummed by that, and just bummed for his family. The whole situation sucks. But it was such a weird time. It was just so strange, the whole thing. So yeah, so I didn't get to go on, and I still have the shirts I bought him, just like all wrapped up, and they're just in my closet because like I don't know what to do with them. I just feel weird about it, you know. So that is the story with that. Let's see. Eric Kaler said Warner died while I was in Ireland, along with Connie Francis. I love her songs, Vacation, Pretty Little Baby, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, a lot of people, I feel like this year. That's the other part of realizing, like, oh, like we are getting older. Is just people that have been around your whole life, and then they're suddenly just gone. It's like, it's really crazy. Let's see. Daniel, is this to me or my husband? I'm not sure. RJ McKenzie says that possibly you have Filipino ancestry. I don't know if it's my husband or not, but I will tell you that when we first got married, I couldn't find a job teaching because the economy was so bad. So what I did is Daniel taught me how to have an eBay store. And so once I got it going, I would wake up really early in the morning once I got it going, I would wake up really early in the morning and I would go shopping at Goodwill for vintage clothes. And I got like really good at this. And this was my full-time job. But there was a really nice old Filipino lady at the Goodwill in Nashville. And she had to see my name for something. I don't know. It was my credit card or something. Excuse me. And it said Romero. And she would always ask me if I was Filipino. And I was like, I'm still not. Still not. But I actually was like, I don't know, actually. Because I hadn't done a test or any genealogy really at that point. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think it's been over an hour. I was just going to do an hour. So thank you everyone for being here. If Saturday works, then maybe we can start doing this more often. I was so nervous when I started. I feel so much more relaxed now. So maybe it takes me a few minutes to get the jitters out. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm going to try to be putting out videos more frequently, at least for a little while. So again, if you have any other ideas or anything, please like drop me something in the comments. Going to Patreon is awesome. Patreon.com/NYTN, because it's just easier for me to see that stuff. So you can join as a free member and just kind of chill with us over there. And I definitely see those more. So thank you for hanging out with me, you guys. And I guess I'll click end stream. I'm afraid that I'm going to click end stream and it will still be on. And then it'll be really awkward. So I'm going to make sure it's really off. But yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. See you soon.